more in building dams, including treatment station, but we didn't include risk management during all this time. We should integrate this dimension at the beginning, before testing our strategy, it's work or not work. This is my interaction about the resilience. Thank you, Dr. Hattab.
Thank you very much, Ms. Afilal, and perhaps given the complexity of the issue of resilience, and resilience is, in general, some people define it as the ability of something, a sector in that matter, to recover after a shock. I mean, how fast does it recover to return to normal? So perhaps I'm asking His Excellency Dr. Hazem to share some of his views and thoughts, with your permission, Excellency Dr. Hazem.
Thank you, Dr. Omar. Well, resilience, as you said, is the ability to absorb a hazardous external factor or increasing in demand or influx of people, which also increasing in demand, and how the system can behave, whether it can absorb this shock in a timely, efficient manner, without damages, without casualties, or there will be a collapse. By the way, countries like ours, we don't plan for resilience. We don't. We have to be clear. We don't plan for resilience, but we go through the process of testing our resilience, like the influx of the Syrian refugees to Jordan water sector. We went through this test, and I think we passed this test. We passed this test. I can tell you that other sectors in Jordan, they did not pass this test. For example, the health sector. Health sector resilience through the influx of the Syrian refugees, both suffered, Jordanians and the Syrian refugees, because they don't have the right resilience. I don't want to take much, but I just wanted to make this short comment.
Thank you very much, Excellency Dr. Hazem. Quickly, and thank you so very much, Ms. Afilal, for highlighting this. Really, I cannot really thank you enough. Risk-based management. We invest in infrastructure. We love investing in tangible assets, in capital assets, and we forget about basic governance concepts. Risk-based management. What if this happens? What do we do? Thank you so very much for that. I cannot really thank you enough for highlighting this. His Excellency Dr. Hazem highlighted that is, what if a hazard takes place? How will the system react? Is it gonna navigate its way through, or is it gonna collapse? And quite frankly, and I cannot help but mention that, Alhamdulillah, Jordan was never affected itself by any conflict. But Jordan was indirectly affected by 14 crises, ever since God knows how long. And Alhamdulillah, Jordan has been able to deal with all of them. So this is not only about sector resilience, this is about state resilience. And so, yeah, applause for that. Without further ado now, sector is good and all of that, but let us get practical. Is there a question?
Just a comment that we did not hear from the gentleman.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so very much for that. But since the services are provided by actual utilities, I am kindly requesting Ms. Lanai to share with us some of her thoughts on the resilience of the service providers / utilities. Over to you, Ms. Lanai.
Oh, okay. So I'll be really quick because I know we're standing between you and lunch, and of course we have another speaker, but I'll do a little bit of marketing about tomorrow. So please attend at 9 o'clock until 10:30 the Water Sector Resilience Seminar. This is a seminar in which we're going to be showing the lessons that we have learned from a study that we have done jointly with Aqua, ICRC, and UNICEF, looking at utilities in crisis and how did they handle resilience. So again, my point is just, it'll be very interesting, so please attend that seminar. But similar to Basel III for the banking industry, perhaps a revolutionary idea will be that we need a way to regulate utilities. So to create a kind of a la Basel III for utilities. If a bank failures, well, the result in people is that they lost money. Yeah, that can have big repercussion, right? But what happens if you have utilities that they fail? The repercussion can be really in lives, especially in the context of the Arab world, where we have an increased level of urbanization and also an increased level of a big or large service level of water and sanitation. If, as a result, we have a water and sanitation utility failing, it can cause high risk of disease outbreak, like we saw, for example, in 2016 and 17 with the cholera in Yemen, with more than 1 million of people being affected, 2,500 deaths, and also in human suffering. So again, I just want to leave it with that. Please come, because it's very interesting to see what we have learned from utilities, and they have really important impact in people's life if they fail. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Ms. Donay. Last yet not least, Turkey is, and will continue being a tourist destination. Not just out of the blues, the level of development, the level of advancement in service levels, its ability to cater for the needs of God knows how many Syrian refugees and so forth has made it a landmark in service delivery. With that, and perhaps it's not because I wish to leave Professor Dr. Essen to be the last, but I just wanted to offer him the space to shed some light on the level of water and sanitation services and activities that are being provided by the Water and Sanitation Corporation in Istanbul. Dr. Essen, first of all, I apologize for letting you the last, but I just wanted to offer you all the space you may wish to. Over to you, Dr. Essen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. General Secretary, ladies and gentlemen, I salute each and every one of you with respect and affection. Assalamu alaikum. I would like to talk on the activities on the Water and Sanitation Administration, Istanbul Metropolitan Municipality. Maybe it may be an example for local authorities in the Middle East. We are now living in the urban age. More than half of the world population, in other words, approximately 3 billion people live in the cities. 30 years later, this figure is expected to reach to 6.3 billion. Making the right investment at the right time and accurately predicting needs are the main pillars of the sustainable city concept. Against this background, we have to discuss many issues which are both independent and interdependent. Water supply, wastewater treatment, disposal of byproduct from gas to sludge, etc. The construction of billions of liras or dollars or dinars worth of facilities, extensions of water and wastewater grids to cover even the remotest villages, keeping an eye on the technologies and thinking about the future while doing all these. The water crisis Istanbul had in the past is perhaps one of the best examples to discuss in terms of sustainability. Approximately 25 years ago, water flow was interrupted and tap was drying due to a failure to accurately predict the needs of the city in Istanbul. That was indeed the case till the election of Recep Tayyip Erdogan, who is now Turkish president. Back then, water could be supplied only a few days a week. Wastewater treatment was non-existent. in that term in Istanbul. The first thing Mr. Erdogan did upon his election was to implement major projects on water and effectively solve the historical water problems suffered by Istanbul. Today, water consumption of our city is about approximately 3 million cubic meters per day. 3 million cubic meters per day. And we trade approximately 3.5 million cubic meters of wastewater each day. Today, the Water and Sewage System Administration of Istanbul Metropolitan Municipality, has a subscriber count that match those of most countries at more than 6 million or 6 and 5 million. These figures put ISKI in the top league of water institutions of the world based on the potable water treatment facility counts and capacity levels. Dear guests, we mentioned the age of cities, and that requires not only supplying millions of cubic meters of potable water, but also treating millions more of wastewater. Today, we are able to treat almost all wastewater of Istanbul, reaching to 99%. We apply the globally recognized latest technologies. Our advanced biological plants allow us to render wastewater usable once again. We are able to utilize that water, for irrigating parks and gardens as well as for industrial purposes. The water recovered at, for example, Paşaköy plant is now used for irrigating parks, thanks to a grid of approximately 60 kilometers. And soon we will be building another advanced biological treatment at Golden Horn. And we will feed Golden Horn with the water from the treatment process. This will make Golden Horn a better environment for the aquatic ecosystem. We claimed that ISKI's capabilities were effectively world scale. This plant is yet another proof of that claim. For the Silahdara in Golden Horn biological treatment plant will be the largest in Europe with its membrane-based treatment system. Honorable guests, at ISKI, we attach great importance on sharing technologies and generously sharing our expertise on water, just like we are generous with sharing water. In this context, each year we host guests from our sister countries, in particular, ranging from Bosnia to Sudan, Pakistan and Palestine and other countries. We share our knowledge and experiences about water. And perhaps on a more important note, today as a country, we are going to throw the national technology drive led by our president. We are seeking ways to produce on our own means all kinds of technology products we heretofore imported. At ISKI, we achieved much in this endeavor. We started our local product workshop at the greatest water and wastewater organization of Turkey. We established the local technology office. We met with industrial establishment of our country. We sought ways to develop Turkish products in a range covering everything from pumps to membrane systems. For instance, we achieved better results with the membrane systems produced in Turkey compared to imported alternatives. Another set of efforts were about trenchless technologies, and we achieved much on that front as well. And we dug a water tunnel using the locally produced TBM matching which is a gift of Turkish engineering. That made Turkey the 8th country to have produced a TBM machine. And as İSKİ, we put our name on that success. Another product of Turkish engineers, that hot tapping systems are also put into use at our organization. These systems allow us to perform maintenance and repair activities without any water supply interruptions. We are on the same route with respect to energy projects as well. You are perhaps aware that energy, like water, is among the most important issues worldwide. İSKİ, on its own, consumes 3.4% of all energy consumed in Istanbul city. Istanbul has 70 million people. To cut back on our energy cost, we are working to generate solar and wind power as part of the efforts led by Metropolitan Municipality of Istanbul. We are building solar farms on the water storage units and rooftops of our facilities, as well as on suitable land. We are operating a floating solar power plant as part of a RD project on the Istanbul Büyükçekmece Lake. That project is the first floating power plant of Turkey. To generate wind power, we are currently engaged in wind metering activities on the air corridors surrounding our dams. At this junction, I would like to tell you a bit about the Melen water systems. Melen is the largest water supply project we had implemented for Istanbul in the past century. With that project, we bring in water from a distance of 200 kilometers. That is really a big water source with an annual output 1 billion cubic meters in that dam. Honorable guests, let me talk about the digital transformation. The information technologies which shape our lives are now starting to shape our cities as well. Now you can see smart systems